Hey y'all, and welcome back. My name is Malika. Welcome to Malika on the Move. I want to send a special thank you to all my new subscribers. I'm glad you're here. And of course, to everybody that's returning, I want to say thank you so much. So, as the title of this video suggests, it is about, is Merida really ugly? Or is it just our way of thinking that is somehow off? Maybe we're not thinking about what's important and we're more concerned with what we see with our eyes. So I want to talk to you about that today. Now, I will be the first to admit, okay, that when I came here to Merida, the first thing that I said was, ooh, this looks like the ghetto. And a lot of expats or a lot of people that come here looking for a place that like are on scouting trips, they say the same thing. And a lot of people don't stay for that very reason. They find this very visually unappealing, okay? I'm here to talk to you today about that for us to try to put some things in perspective. And also, I want to give you a little story about a moment in my travel history that actually helped to shape my thinking and probably is the most memorable travel experience that I've ever had. So, when you first possibly consider coming to Merida, maybe you've looked at some Instagram videos, or maybe you've watched different YouTube videos that may show the better side of Merida, okay? The more aesthetically pleasing. But what you don't see is when you land and you start going through the city, you see the broken sidewalks, you see the homes that don't look like they're properly maintained. You see trash, you see overgrown vegetation, you see street dogs, lots with a bunch of weeds, buildings that have started to be built but then abandoned. And you look around and it's like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is not really that attractive. Now, in all fairness, they have very nice areas that are pockets that are maintained well. Some areas of the north, which are more newer areas, have wider sidewalks, the malls and some, providas with really pretty walls and a lot of pretty greenery and everything outside. But the actual heart of the city is very old and rustic and I risk saying run down, okay? And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people feel that they need to live in a location that is just beautiful everywhere they look. I will admit that at one time that was me, okay? I have lived in many very beautiful neighborhoods. I've owned homes in very beautiful neighborhoods, beautiful subdivisions. But let me tell you how that went, okay? I would turn on my street or into my subdivision, and as soon as I was in range of my home where I could hit that genie to open my garage door, that I was hitting that button, so that door would already be up when I got there. Please don't let me see a neighbor on the way, because then you're like, damn, because now you got to do the fake, the fake wave and the fake smile, right? You zip into your driveway, you hit that button, the door goes down, that's the end of it. If you happen to be outside, maybe you're doing something in your yard, you can observe your neighbors doing the same thing. You see a door go up, then all of a sudden you see a car pull in and zip, they're in the garage, door goes down, end of story. You don't see the streets full of kids riding bikes, skateboards, roller skates, playing football in the street, or, just out playing hide and go seek or freeze tag or whatever games that kids do. Like when I was growing up, the sense of community has really left in the US, mainly because it's not safe. Let's keep it real. It's not safe in the US. You can't really let your kids out of your sight because, they could be put in the white van, or it could be a drive-by, or anything could happen. You don't know nowadays what your neighbor is into. It's not like it was when I was growing up. And at the same time, you have a home with absolutely beautiful green grass. There's beautiful sidewalks. You don't see weeds. Every front porch looks like a Pinterest photo. Beautiful shrubberies around the home. You know, everybody has a really nice car in the driveway. It just seems almost kind of a facade, right? Whereas you come to Merida, yeah, it's raggedy, okay? Cancale, it's even more Mayberry, okay? Cancale looks like it's from the 1940s, I'm not lying. But you see life. Right now, currently, I don't know what time it is, it's dark, but I can hear kids right in the little play area across the street screaming and squealing, and they're running, and who knows what they're doing. But it's letting me know that people are living a life. And the same thing if you live in the city, the squares in the evening fill up with people. They're riding bikes, they're sitting around, having conversations. Somebody's selling something over here. There's a food truck over there. There's a band over there. People are not necessarily concerned with the visuals of an area, but more so what kind of life, what kind of community is available in that area. So as I mentioned, many years ago, I was very materialistic and just really wanted things a certain way. Now, I never looked down on anyone for having any less, but I knew that for myself, I wanted things a certain way. So that brings me to my story, which actually really changed my perspective on what was important in life, what made people happy. It was the most memorable, without a doubt, travel experience, life experience that I've ever had. And I'm putting my glasses on for this one because I need to see. I don't know what I'm looking at, but there I go. So back in '94, I was married and I had this brilliant idea. Hey, let's sell all our stuff and move to Africa. I've been wanting to be an expat for a long time. So my initial desire was to go to Senegal. I wanted to go to Dakar, Senegal. And I picked that because I saw that Dakar was very built up. It was like modern city type Africa. It seemed very, Americanized in a sense, or European or westernized. That's the word for it, westernized in a sense. Okay, but no. My husband at the time had friends in Khartoum, Sudan, and that's where he wanted to go because he felt that it would be easier for us to get established, to get settled in. We did leave our kids in the States, and once we got settled, we were to go back and get the kids. So he felt that that was going to be an easier transition for us. So in 1994, the political climate in Sudan was very bad, okay? The United States had economic sanctions on this country for a very long time. We got letters from the State Department urging us not to go once we had got these visas and everything. The main reason was because the country was harboring someone by the initials of OBL. And maybe you can figure that out. Reluctantly, I said, okay, well, let's do this then. Because, what was I going to do? Get divorced, right? So our first stop before we got to Sudan was in Saudi Arabia. We went to Riyadh and we went to Jeddah. Now, I was like, cool. I had never been into a Middle Eastern country, nor had I been to Africa, but I'm thinking hopefully this is just like Saudi Arabia, because that was like Dubai. I mean, it was glitz and glamour and, big shopping malls and palaces and, Rolexes and Lamborghinis. And I'm like, okay, cool, right? Y'all, the flight from Saudi Arabia to Sudan had no air condition. I guess they figured we didn't need it. Because when we got ready to land and I'm looking out of the window, why were there goats on the runway? And I kid you not, there were goats on the runway, okay? When the plane landed, there was no little cars that drove up to get our baggage. They opened the back of the plane and you had to go in there and get your own luggage. And then when you walked in that 120-degree heat to the airport terminal, it had dirt floors, okay? I was almost in tears, like, what have you gotten me into, okay? Now I'm thinking, oh, I really do want a divorce, okay? This is it. So we get to the home that we're staying in, which was partially finished, meaning the walls were up, the doors were on, there were no windows, no air conditioner. And because, like I said, there were economic sanctions in the country, there was like one light bulb per floor. The people that were downstairs had one light bulb. The people that were upstairs, us, we had the whole upstairs, we had one light bulb. So if you wanted to go to different rooms, you had to take the light bulb with you. Okay, so I'm telling you, it was bad. So you look out of the no window windows and there's goats in the front and there's these giant lizards that would come in at night and be sleeping on the ceiling above the bed. It was just horrendous and horrific. There was nothing to do in this country because there was nothing. Okay, there were no malls, no stores, nothing with a name brand. There was one little market and one little local mom and pop little store that basically didn't have any damn shit and had no light bulbs. Let me tell you how bad it was. We went to this lady's house to have henna put on our hands, and the lady was telling us that they were coming to put a telephone in her house that next day, and they were really excited. The whole family was there. Why? Because it was 1994, and they applied to get their telephone in 1974 or something. It took like 20 years to get a telephone, okay? They put in the order for the telephone 20 years prior, and they were just not getting a telephone in their house. Everywhere was nothing but desert, like just desert, okay? Desolate. So next door was a family, and they lived in a shipping container. Now, you know, shipping container, no windows, just two big doors in the back, no bathroom, no electricity. It was a mother and a father. It was a daughter named Haja. It was a son named Ibrahim and another daughter named Zainab. Now, Zainab was about 2 years old. Ibrahim had to be maybe 6, and Haja was maybe about 9 years old. So the father used to do our laundry, and he would, you know, old school. I mean, when I tell you this is primitive Africa, this is primitive. He's doing this, you know, on the washboard. That's how we got our laundry from him. And so I used to look out of the window, and because there was nothing to do, you know, I made friends with the little kids because I've always been a candy freak. So I took huge bags of candy with me and I gave them some candy. So every day, Haja would come and she would be outside the window hollering, Malika, Malika, halawa, halawa. You know, she wants candy. So I go outside and I'd sit with her, and it was another little girl that played with her. I don't remember her name. And I would just sit and watch them play and throw little rocks at the goats and, you know, just sit out there and relax. So it's about, on a regular daily basis, about 120 degrees in this desert. It was so hot that many nights we slept on the roof of the house because that's the only way that you could really stay cool at night. I really felt sorry for this family that lived in this shipping container because, like I said, they had no electricity, they had no bathroom, they had no running water, they had no refrigeration, they had nothing in this shipping container. The baby, Zainab, which I said was about 2 years old, she would be out playing just completely naked, no clothes whatsoever, no diaper, no nothing. Haja had one outfit that she wore every day, and I think I was there maybe 45 days. Haja wore this same outfit every day. I know her father used to take it and wash it. And then Ibrahim, he had a button-up shirt, like a men's shirt, but no pants, no underwear, no pants, no shoes. And he had a limp, and he used a stick for a cane because as a baby, he had polio. So he had a deformed leg, and he had a limp. And he was the cutest little boy. I'm gonna tell you, he was so handsome. So when I went out every day, when Haja would call me out for candy, the mother would always wave with a big smile on her face. The father, he would always wave if he wasn't coming to get our laundry, and said hello. He would always wave and have a big smile on his face. And sometimes in the evening, you could hear them sitting outside to be cooler, and they would sing, or he had like a little transistor radio that they would be playing music, and they would laugh, and other people would stop by and sit outside with them, and they just were having a good old time, right? So it was about maybe 3 days before it was due for me to leave. We were going back to the U.S. because I threatened my husband, and I just told him I couldn't take it anymore. I did not want to stay there. So I asked Haja and her little friend, and Ibrahim was there. I said, do you guys do any traditional dances, in your culture? And they, because she spoke a little English, Haja did. And she said, yes. And I said, would you dance for me, right? And they were jumping up and down. They were really excited. They were like, yes. And Ibrahim was just grinning and grinning. And he said something in their language. And I asked Haja, what did he say? And she said, he said he's going to wear his pants for you. Now, this little boy, like I said, he played in a button-down shirt, no underwear, no pants. Ibrahim had one pair of pants to his name, and he was only allowed to wear these pants on a special occasion. But Ibrahim thought that I was the special occasion, that he was going to wear his pants for me. Not only that, but Ibrahim was very excited that there was an occasion that he got to wear these pants, okay? So this day came. The little girl who was Haja's friend came with a drum, and she played the drum, and they sang, and they danced. And that little crippled boy, with his pants on, and his father, the guy who did our laundry, made sure that his pants were perfectly ironed and creased, no wrinkles. His shirt was clean. He was so handsome. And that little boy danced with such pride and joy. You would, and honor that I asked them to do this for me. You would think that he was invited to have an audience with, say, the Queen of England. And this boy with his limp, he danced so proudly, and the smile from ear to ear, and he was in his own little world. There were times that he closed his eyes, and he just danced his little heart out in his pants, his one pair of pants that he could only wear for special occasions. But he thought I was the special occasion, and he wore them for me. That made me think over the years when I thought about that moment, because that changed my perspective on the whole experience being there in Africa, okay? In this country with nothing, in this country with nothing pretty. Everything was dusty and dirty and just bare. It made me realize that it's not about what it looks like. it's about what happens there. It's about the people that are loving and joyful and happy and thriving despite the struggles and despite the hardships. They're still living and not letting their situation get them down, and not letting the fact that they don't live in a mansion or, you know, a big beautiful home with perfectly manicured grass and a Pinterest porch get them down. They still have that joy in life. And for me, that was more important than the aesthetics and the materialism of anything that I had or were to have in the future. I look at Merida the same way. Yeah, it's ugly. Cancao looks like Mayberry. But I know that there's more to it than what's on the surface. That's just the surface. There's so much life here. When I hear the little girls squealing in the front, chasing each other and running from the boys, and I see the mothers out with their toddlers and the fathers, you know, out with their families and the kids and the people walking their dogs. Maybe they don't have the prettiest neighborhood. You know, maybe they live down one of these dirt roads and they don't have grass and their house needs to be painted. You know, the little store looks like some raggedy shack. That don't mean anything, not to me. And I don't think that it should mean that much to anybody. This is just my personal opinion. I look at Merida as a place that will grow on you. A place that you can look past all of its flaws, visual flaws, and find the joy here. Find your joy here. Find the things that make you happy. Find community here. Make friends with a local. Go out and experience a lot of the local events and just sit back and observe and see how the people behave and see how they interact with each other and see how they laugh and smile, and, you know, try to become part of something bigger than just the example of me zipping up in my driveway and shutting that garage door like the rest of my neighbors, and that's the end of it. No one's coming out the house, but our houses are beautiful now. But we're inside, and that's the end of it. So I encourage people, when you come to Merida and you have that first initial shock and you're like, whoa, this is not what I thought it was gonna look like. Look past that, because this city has a lot to offer. And no, it's not in aesthetics, but that's not what's important in life. You know, you can live in Beverly Hills, but if there's no real joy and community and life there, what's the point? Because it looks good? I don't think so. So in terms of Merida being ugly, let's try to see it from a different perspective, maybe. Maybe you can come here and live a good life, irregardless of all of the garbage and the dogs and the weeds and the rundown houses, and, you know, be happy. Bye, y'all.